20 years since September 11th, 2001. Our Eamon Javers this morning has a look at the next set of threats, what they might be and what they might not be. Morning, Eamon.
Good morning, Carl. When intelligence experts look back on September 11th, they think of it as a failure, most of all, of imagination. Collectively, they simply couldn't imagine airplanes being used in suicide attacks. And today, they worry that the same failure of imagination could be happening again, this time in cybersecurity. I talked to retired Admiral Mike Rogers this week. He's the former head of the National Security Agency, and he told me why he's worried.
It's fair to say the only limit broadly in cyber these days is the limits of the imagination, because there's almost no limit to what you can do.
Rogers said he worries that the hacks that we've seen so far don't even come close to the potential damage a truly evil attacker could cause. He worries about attacks on critical infrastructure like the one on Colonial Pipeline this year. An adversary could time an attack for the most damage and even stagger a series of attacks to cripple our ability to respond to each one. But he also worries about more insidious attacks where the target is American society itself.
So how could you increase the pressure on our society? We're in the middle of a pandemic. What could I do that would impact medical care? What could I do that could impact vaccine distribution, production, What could I do that would exacerbate economic inequality? What could I do that would forestall economic recovery in the middle of this economic challenge that we have had as a result of the pandemic?
Rogers told me that the January 6th insurrection shows that we are vulnerable as maybe never before to attacks designed to stoke violence among Americans. He says the key is prevention, but also resiliency, the knowledge that bad things can happen in this world no matter what you do, and the ability to absorb shocks and keep moving forward. Back over to you guys.
Eamon, that's such a key point. You know, our colleague at NBC News, Kelly O'Donnell, was asked how 9/11 changed her career, at least. She said it was a moment in which you realized you had to begin to think about the unthinkable and make that envelope of possibilities bigger in your mind. On the other hand, a lot of the discussion this morning has been about the country's ability to rebuild after episodes like 9/11, like the pandemic, and even January 6th.
Right. And when Rogers talks about resiliency, he's talking about the ability to sort of absorb these things and keep going. But he's also talking about the ability to see them coming in the first place. Right. And so you have to have the intelligence apparatus out there. You have to have the defense apparatus out there. Ultimately, though, you can't think of everything that could go wrong in the world. And he worries that when people try to do that, they see an enemy around every corner. And he does not think that that's where America needs to go either. So there's a way to do this and a way not to do it, Carl.